So, are the Los Angeles Rams still the team to beat the NFC? Are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers primed to make a return to the Promised Land? And can the Cowboys possibly get over that hump to get back to where they want to be? Well, we're going to try to find out the answers to those questions and many more as we continue our 4 week series of our divisional previews here on Fantasy Football Fever. And we start right about now.
15 seconds to air. Stand by all cameras.
Ready with slow motion and isolated cameras.
Stand by videotape and roll tape.
And tape is rolling in less than 5, in 3, 2, 1.
Take tape.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Fever here on YouTube and on Twitch. It is Monday, August 8th, 2022. My name is Tim McClellan. I'm joined tonight by the host of Hooked on Sports, Mr. John Flynn. How are you, sir?
What's going on, Tim McClellan? How are you doing today?
We're doing pretty good, we just had the Hall of Fame game, so football is here, even though it's preseason. The excitement's in the air. Teams are still in training camp. All the rest of the teams, all the teams in the league will be playing this week for preseason. So getting closer and closer to opening night next month, beginning with the Bills and the Rams.
Yep, exactly 1 month from tonight, we're gonna have football games that matter in the standings. So buckle up, Buttercup.
Oh yeah, fasten your seatbelts and put on a crash helmet because it is going to be something. Well, anyway, tonight we are having our second part of our divisional previews, going through the schedules for each team and trying to figure out what wins and losses they're going to have. Now, last week's show was pretty packed as much that we didn't get to the NFC South division, so we are going to go ahead and go through that division right now. We'll be picking up with the NFC East and the NFC West a little bit later on this show. But right now, let us go ahead and get started here. We will begin with the NFC South division, and we begin with taking a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule. I'm going to go ahead and put that on a screen share for those of y'all watching us on YouTube and on Twitch. We'll get that popped up right here. Why is this thing? There we go. Wait a minute. Hold up a second. That's just the front page there. Let's get to the schedule. There we go. It's loaded in here. Of course, Tampa Bay made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, but they lost out to the Los Angeles Rams, the eventual Super Bowl champions. Let's go ahead and get to the regular season. Yes, sir.
So yeah, because I'm gonna correct you for a second. It was the divisional round of the game because the Rams beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game last year.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Thanks for the correction there. I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
So we have the schedule up here for all y'all here, and for the second year in a row, the Buccaneers will start against the Cowboys. Only this time, it will be in AT&T Stadium. This is kind of a hard one for me here because, well, for one thing, Tom Brady has played 5 career games against the Cowboys, and he is 5-0. Dak is supposed to be healthier now. They said they're going to try to run Zeke a little bit more. Defense is is all right. I mean, they still got Michael Parsons, still got Trayvon Diggs, but that receiving core may be just a tad bit questionable. Even though now C.D. Lamb has been promoted to the wide receiver one position. So Cowboys at home against Tampa Bay. I don't know about this one, John. I have to put a question mark on this one.
Yeah, so I haven't changed anything from looking at from doing quick wins and losses, and this is a pick that's subject to change. But even though Tampa Bay's offensive line is a little bit weaker because remember they lost their left guard, they lost their starting center Ryan Jensen to a significant knee injury, and that's going to play a big part in trying to protect the 45-year-old quarterback. So I'm gonna. So right now, I think Tampa. I have Tampa taking down the Cowboys in Big D to start the season on the road. So I have that as a win.
Okay, and then then the Buccaneers will travel to New Orleans to take on the Saints.
This is gonna be a two team fight for the NFC South between Tampa and New Orleans, but I'll take Tampa to win round one of this 2-part series.
Okay, so it is a divisional battle. So you see a win at New Orleans, and of course Tampa Bay is home at New Orleans on Monday, December 5th. I think I kind of see a sweep here.
So yeah, I see a split with both teams winning on the road those 2 weeks.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then the first 3 games of their home season begins with the old Bay of Pigs matchup. Tampa Bay at home against Green Bay. Once again, it's going to be the GOAT versus that bad man.
Yeah, this was a matchup we discussed last time, and I circled Tampa to win that game.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I'll take Tampa. And then another big matchup. They're at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's going to be another big one. That's Sunday nighter.
Yeah, and I'm happy they put it on Sunday night because there was a rematch of Super Bowl 55, which Brady sliced through that Kansas City defense, and I think that he's going to have another performance like that. So right now, I have Tampa taking down the Chiefs, and look, the biggest what if. This could be a trickier matchup because Kansas City's strength defensively is in the front four, while Tampa's weakness right now is going to be the offensive line. So that means there's going to be a lot of pressure on Tristan Wirfs to replicate his season from last year. So is he going to be able to do that? That's going to be a big question mark for Tampa this season.
But I think there will be no question mark on October 9th. The Buccaneers will be at home against the division rival Atlanta Falcons. I probably see a sweep with that one.
Yeah, I'll take Tampa to win those games.
Yeah, they will face Atlanta in Week 18 to finish up the season. They will be in Atlanta, and I see a win over there too. Then there's 2 games on the road. Interesting one right here. Tampa Bay heads to Pittsburgh on October 16th.
Yeah, this is actually Brady's first matchup with the Steelers since moving out of the AFC, and I've circled that as Tampa's first loss of the season. I think the Steelers. We'll get into the Steelers later on this week, but I have Tampa losing that game.
Ooh, interesting. I think I have. Well, I'm going to put a question mark on that one too. But I don't think I have a question mark for the next week against Carolina.
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa on that one.
Yep. And then before they take the bye week, they will have 3 home games. Thursday night, October 27th on Prime Video, they're at home against the Ravens.
So yeah, I think Lamar Jackson has always done well against Tom Brady. I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, I think I'm going to mark that as a loss for Tampa Bay. Then we got a big one right here. It's the Rams and the Buccaneers on November 6th.
So this is going to be one of those games where I say, give me the team with the better coach and the better defense. I'll take the Rams.
Okay, I will take the Rams there. And then NFL Network, November 13th, one of the overseas games.
And I believe this game is in Germany.
Germany.
Yeah, and it's a game I'm gonna take the Bucks in.
Yeah, I will definitely take the Bucks there. Like I said, I thought Seattle was probably the most disappointing team in the league last year. So I see so far Tampa Bay is pretty good before their bye week in Week 11. When they come off the bye, they will be on the road at Cleveland.
I'll take Tampa with 2 weeks off.
Yep, and then Tampa's home against New Orleans, and I marked a win for that one.
And I marked a loss.
December 11th, they're at San Francisco, where it's going to be Trey Lance's team.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the game. I'll take the 49ers in that game. So at this point of the season, I have Tampa at 8-5.
Yeah, I have Tampa with 8 wins so far. That's going to be an interesting game against San Francisco. December 18th, they will be on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Is the game in Cincy or in Raymond James? Because I have it.
It's a home game. December 18th, home against the Bengals.
Yeah, so, I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah. And then Tampa goes on the road on Christmas Day against the Arizona Cardinals.
I'll take Tampa. We'll get into Arizona's situation in a little bit, but I love Tampa in that matchup.
Then at home against Carolina, I have a W on that one.
As Week 18 at home on the road against the Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I got right now 12 wins and 3 losses and 2 question. Yeah, 3 losses and 2 question marks.
Yeah, I have 12 wins for Tampa.
12 wins for Tampa. I think that might be enough for him to repeat as NFC South champions.
We'll have to see what happens when we look at the Saints schedule, and I do think it's worth noting that looking at the changes in the Saints depth chart. So I'm gonna have Tim get the Saints depth chart up because look, I think let's go to the Saints for a second because obviously Sean Payton is no longer there, but if there was any coach that I think that New Orleans should have hired, it was Dennis Allen because the culture that Sean Payton alongside Drew Brees built in New Orleans over a 15-year period is just amazing. That they're so well coached, they're so buttoned up. And now there is a bit of injury concern about Jameis Winston because he came off the practice field today, not 100%. But when Jameis Winston is a quarterback for a well-coached team, that he can do a lot of special things, and we saw that last year before he tore his ACL. And also, do you see a familiar name at wide receiver 1, Tim McClelland?
I do. Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas is back, and Michael Thomas is someone that everyone's that people are gonna have to look at, especially if he is 100% healthy, and that's gonna be a big problem for the opposition if he can stay on the field, and it is much needed for New Orleans because you look down the depth chart, you got Jarvis Landry, you got Chris Olave, the standout at Ohio State, who the Saints traded up and in the draft and selected, and then of course the offensive line, and I think the most notable thing is All-Pro right tackle Ryan Ramczyk is still in there, and they also drafted Trevor Penning with another one of their picks, the It's the tackle out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the defense is terrific too, and Demario Davis continues to be an outstanding linebacker. Cam Jordan is carving out a Hall of Fame career, and even though they lost Marcus Davenport to the Baltimore Ravens, that they got a perfect free safety in Marcus May, who comes over from the Jets. That's going to be an outstanding a safety duel with May and Tyrann Mathieu, who comes in from Kansas City, and the Saints and their front office, they had a tremendous offseason.
Yeah, they sure did. They sure did. So looking at the Saints' schedule right now, they start the season on the road against division rivals Atlanta. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Atlanta in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think the Saints are favored by 3.5 points in this, but but either way, I'll take New Orleans to take care of business.
Okay, and we said, and week 2, the Saints are at home against Tampa Bay, and we said that the Buccaneers would win that one.
Mm-hmm. And then the next 3 weeks at Carolina, Minnesota, and Seattle, I think those should be 3 wins there. So they could start 4-1.
They could. They could. So yeah. Oh, I marked that one incorrectly. So that's a 4-1. That's not a bad start. And then October 16th, the Saints are at home against Cincinnati.
Right, and I think I remember this is Joe Burrow's homecoming. Remember Joe Burrow played the national championship game. Yep, his first game at the Superdome since that historic championship season came to its climax. So I'm gonna pick the Bengals to win that game on the road in a hostile environment on the road.
Okay, I could probably see something like that. Hometown boy getting a big victory again. Then they're on the road against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, remember that's gonna be the first game with DeAndre Hopkins back, and I think it's gonna make a difference for Kyler Murray. So I have the Saints losing that one.
Oh, so I got Arizona. I got one. Then they have a 2-game homestand, October 30th at home against the Raiders.
In week 8, I've circled that as a win, and I also have circled the Ravens game as a win, even though the Ravens will have a few extra days of rest because they play on Thursday night the week before.
That's right. Interesting matchup here, November 13th at Pittsburgh.
So yeah, I have that game and the 2 subsequent games against the Rams and 49ers. All 3 of those games as losses.
Oh, interesting. I think they'll lose to. The Warriors is I'll have to give a slight edge to the Niners on that one. And then
and then I had the Saints winning that Monday night game on the road in Tampa. And I said they were going to split that.
Yeah, split that series, and then they got week 14 as their bye week, and then the last 4 games are home against Atlanta, on the road at Cleveland, on the road at Philly, and at home against Carolina.
Yes, so I have 3 wins in the last 4. The exception being on Christmas Eve, on the road against the Browns. I think this is going to be the point where the Saints are going to have their backs against the wall here, needing a win to make the playoffs. And I do think the Saints are a playoff team this year. When you look at the roster, when you look at the return of Michael Thomas. And I think Dennis Allen is the perfect coach for this team at the right time. And I remember giving grades to the head coaching hires in real time. There were only 2 A grades I gave. One was to Brian Daboll. The other was to the Saints for hiring Dennis Allen. I think keeping the culture is paramount to the team's success this year with Sean Payton no longer in the fold.
Right. So basically, looking here, I'm looking at a 10-7 record for the Saints, and definitely a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, believe it or not, I have 10 wins for New Orleans as well. So I think for the NFC, I think 10 wins is going to be enough to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they could well be. We're now going to let's go ahead and switch this up. Now we're going to be talking about the Dirty Birds right now, talking about them Falcons.
It's going to be hard looking at this roster all year because there really isn't much to write home about when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, you can't put any expectations on the Atlanta Falcons this year because they traded away their franchise quarterback, maybe the greatest player in the history of the franchise, and Matt Ryan. So he goes to Indianapolis in a trade as a salary cap dump. So the Falcons can be left with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback. Remember, Mariota did work with Arthur Smith when they were together with the Tennessee Titans. So you got that. Kyle Pitts is going to be the star of the team, playing at tight end. And then AJ Terrell is going to be their defensive star playing. Yeah, in year 3, he was out terrific. In year 2, he was maybe one of the most pleasant surprises in the NFL last year. So it's going to mean that other teams are going to run the ball on them, and it's going to be a problem with what they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, taking a look at the Atlanta Falcons schedule, we mentioned they were at home against New Orleans. What did we say that they would have a split that one or?
No, I have a sweep. I have a sweep, and in fact, looking at the first 9 games, I have the Falcons starting the season 0-9. At the Rams, at Seattle, versus Cleveland, at Tampa, versus San Francisco, at Cincinnati. Home against the Panthers, home against the Chargers. Those are 9 losses in my book.
What did I say for the Saints? The Saints would beat Atlanta. Yeah. So, this is going to be a loss against the Saints. Loss to the Rams. You know what? I think I'm going to see a win against the Seahawks.
Really? On the road. That's an interesting call on that one.
But of course, that is always subject to change. So, but yeah, I can see them losing to Cleveland, definitely losing to Tampa Bay, losing to the Niners, losing to the Bengals. Carolina game, I gotta put a question mark on that one. So I'll have to, that's a week 8 matchup against Atlanta. So let me go ahead and put that question mark there on the Panthers schedule. We'll get to that momentarily. Lost to the Chargers, then at Carolina. I think Carolina might win this. I see a possible split.
I'm looking at week 10 at Carolina's their first win of the season.
Yeah, so I'm kind of leaning toward maybe a split with the road team winning. Kind of look at that here, but I'm not sure. November 20th, they're at Chicago, and I don't see them winning that one.
This was one of the rare wins I had for Chicago because I have that as a toss up, but you look at the Falcons and the Bears as probably the two worst teams in the NFC going into the season.
Right. November 27th, the Falcons are on the road against the Commanders.
I have that as a win.
and then they're home against Pittsburgh before their bye week.
I call me crazy, but this is the Mike Tomlin trap game. I think the Falcons will randomly beat Pittsburgh because football.
Ooh, interesting. Then weeks 15 through 18, they are at New Orleans, at Baltimore, then home against Arizona, home against the Buccaneers. I can go ahead and put a loss against the Bucks. I think a loss against Arizona. Uh, they're at New Orleans, so there'll probably be a loss there.
Yeah.
The Baltimore game, unfortunately,
Loss.
I'm going to have to put losses on the last 4 games.
Yeah, as do I, because giving the Falcons 3 wins and the opportunity to pick first overall in the NFL draft next year.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I got right now 3 and 13 and 1 question mark that may lean toward maybe a victory, winning on the road against Carolina in week 10. Well, no, winning at home against Carolina in week 8. I have that as a question mark possibility. So, yeah, Atlanta could be in the sweepstakes for the top pick in next year's draft. As we take a look now at the Carolina Panthers, let me go ahead and get that screen up for you good people watched us out there. And always, I forgot to mention this earlier, while we're making our picks, we invite you to make your picks. Please make your predictions in the comment section below while we go through our picks on how each of these teams are going to do, see how you match up against our predictions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Carolina Panthers depth chart right here. Anything in particular that's interesting here? Well,
Yeah,
obviously the Baker Mayfield versus Sam Darnold.
So meaning they don't have meaning they don't have their quarterback of the future. I don't think Baker Mayfield is the right fit for the Panthers, and like I have no idea how Matt Rule is as to how he's doing it and what he's doing, and so that's gonna be a huge question mark for this team. And look. If the Panthers had a better quarterback, let's say they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, which obviously they're not, and all that, the Panthers I think could be a team that can challenge for the playoffs, and obviously my predictions right now are not up to date because I haven't changed them since the Baker Mayfield trade. But looking at these names, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, they're good receivers, and I also want to look more on the defensive side of the football, and they do have some excellent pieces on there because Brian Burns made the Pro Bowl last year. That Yetur Gross-Matos I think is going to break out this year, and remember these were all 2020 draft picks. For the Panthers because their plan was to go 7 defensive players with their seven picks in 2020, and the Panthers did have an excellent defense last year. They actually had the number 2 overall defense in terms of yards allowed per game last year. So take it for what it's worth. And by the way, they did most of that without J.C. Horn, who tore his ACL in Week 3 last year. So the Panthers are going to be a tricky team to face, but if you can score 20 points against this Panthers defense, you have a very good chance to win games.
And speaking of games, let's go ahead and run down the Panthers schedule. They open at home against the Browns.
Which is going to be one of the juiciest matchups of the week, because the VP of NFL scheduling was on Mad Dog Sports Radio last month. So I was thinking that Baker Mayfield would be traded to the Carolina Panthers and set up a delicious Week 1 matchup with Baker Mayfield going up against the team he's quit on. But I have Cleveland winning that one, and then I have them losing week 2 on the road to the Giants, and then week 3 at home against the Saints. I have them starting 0-3.
Yeah, I can see them starting 0-3 too, as well. They'll be home against Arizona on October 2nd, and then October 9th against home against San Francisco. So you got two big NFC West rivals right there. I could probably see.
Yeah, this is probably going to be wrong, but before the Baker Mayfield trade, I had them only winning 3 games versus Arizona, against Atlanta, and against Detroit. But I know a couple of these of the rest of the games will probably be wins for Carolina, just because they're somewhat better at the quarterback position, and they don't have the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. So.
I'm gonna have to put a question mark at home against Arizona. I could probably see San Francisco getting a victory there, and I can also see the Rams beating the Panthers at home in LA. So that's another loss. And Tampa Bay. What did we say about them? Were they gonna
Loss.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the 2 losses against.
Yeah. So we said that the Bucks were gonna sweep the Panthers. Let me go ahead and mark that down here. Tampa Bay will. The Panthers will be in Tampa Bay on New Year's Day. I put a question mark on the road against Atlanta, then on the road at Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. That's probably a loss.
That's probably gonna be a loss right there. Then at home against Atlanta.
We said they'd split.
Yeah, so said Atlanta would win. Actually, I said so that's gonna be a loss there. November 20th at Baltimore.
Yeah, we know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, probably with the Ravens, I think, though. And then they're at home against the Broncos with Russell Wilson as their new quarterback.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun handling those in our Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, so I'm going to give the edge to Denver on that one. So I've only got maybe at least one win before they reach their bye week on week 13. Week 14, December 11th, Panthers are on the road at Seattle. I cannot see the Panthers winning there. December 18th, they're at home against the Steelers.
Yeah, this could be another Mike Tomlin trap game, but I just think that's too important for the Steelers not to lose. I'll take the Steelers. I have the Steelers winning that game.
I said they get the win at Detroit, and we talked about maybe getting a win at Tampa Bay. Then finishing the season at New Orleans.
Yeah, that's the 2 losses right there.
Yeah, okay. So looking at that, I only see 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 wins there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 wins, 12 losses, and I got how many question marks? 1 and 2, so 2 question marks. So actually, the Falcons and Panthers, from what I see here, 3 and 13, they could end up in a tie, maybe. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Just not promising anything, but once again, I see Tampa Bay winning the division, but keep your eyes on the New Orleans Saints because, as you said earlier, they do have a chance to make the playoffs, and I guess that would be pretty good from for when I've got there in my picks. So I'll keep an eye on the Saints this year. They might be better than
No.
last year. Yeah, keep an eye on the
Yeah.
Saints.
Yeah,
So
and you know, and how I say coach matters. I think this season coach matters for the Saints.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's the NFC South. Let us now go to the NFC East, and we will begin with my team.
Naturally, your Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, and some serious changes on the depth chart, especially at wide receiver, since now Amari Cooper is playing with the Browns, and Cedric Wilson is now with the Bengals. So we have James Washington. We got him from the Steelers, but he suffered an injury last week during training camp. Said he'd be out about 6 to 10 weeks. Um, Michael Gallup, he's our number 2 receiver. He got injured. We say he is definitely out for week 1 against the Buccaneers, but would have a chance to come back in week 2. Uh, we still gotta try to get a we get a we still gotta try to get a contract extension for Dalton Schultz because I think he was probably the second best receiver the Cowboys had behind C.D. Lamb.
Right. I tend to agree with that. Watching a lot of the Cowboys last year.
Yeah, yeah. Dak Prescott says he's healthy and he's good. Zeke Elliott, his numbers, yards per game, yearly average have gone down ever since his rookie year in 2016. We still got Tony Pollard here. Uh, Cavante Turpin is a guy that I want to keep my eye on when the Cowboys have their first preseason game against the Broncos Saturday night. And looking at the defense here, well, we still have Tyron Smith. We got Tyler Smith that we drafted earlier this year.
Yep. The Cowboys spent their first round pick on an area of need, and one of the two areas of need was to replace a departing guy.
Yeah, I think we let go of Connor Williams. I think can't remember what it is, but we still got Zach Martin. He's probably one of the best offensive linemen the Cowboys have ever had since Larry Allen.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion there. And we have DeMarcus Lawrence. He's got to really pick it up this year. Carlos Watkins, Neville Gallimore. I can see a bounce back year for him. Dante Fowler Jr. We got Anthony Barr from trade earlier this week.
Yeah, that was a newcomer, someone who was not on the roster previously when we last talked about the Cowboys. But how much left does Anthony Barr have left in the tank? That's gonna be the question about his season. Then Van Resch, can Parsons repeat his defensive rookie of the year performance? And then I have concerns about the secondary because I know the Diggs had a great season, but he is such a liability on defense when he's not making plays, and it was especially against the better teams.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting here. So we still have Brown Egg as our punter. Jonathan Garibay, I guess that's the guy who's going to be replacing the departed Greg the Leg.
Greg Zerline, who's now with the Jets.
Zerline with the Jets. Interesting. Well, let's go ahead and run down the schedule for the Cowboys. Again, they start the season against the Buccaneers, only this time it's at AT&T Stadium, but we've already mentioned that Tampa Bay will probably most likely get this win. However, I predicted an upset Wait a minute. Did I put a question mark on that one? Did I? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So
Yeah.
just depending on what happens between now and week one, I'm just going to put a question mark here. Then the Cowboys are at home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm gonna have the next three games as wins versus Cincinnati at the Giants on Monday Night Football with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, and then Week 4 against Washington.
Week four against Washington. Then they're on the road at Los Angeles. I cannot see the Cowboys winning there.
Yeah, and by the way, that Monday night game against the Giants is the only Buck Aikman game the Cowboys will play in this year.
Yeah, just one Monday night game.
Yeah, after doing all the so you're gonna get a heavy dose of Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, and presumably Aaron Andrews.
Yeah, Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen. That's a good team. I like that. I like
Yeah,
those guys.
yes, I know because I've known Kevin Burkhardt for about 15 years. He is as good as Fox is gonna get.
But looking at this, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, Cowboys do have 5 primetime games. Only one Monday nighter against Johnson. Then we go to October 16th. The Cowboys are on the road at Philadelphia. Well, let's see here. Let's go back to the Giants. The Giants game. We said the Cowboys will beat the Giants on the road on Monday night. What about when the Giants come to Dallas on November 24th? You still see that as a loss, or?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a competitive game, but I think it's gonna be a loss. Yeah, and then I have the Cowboys losing at the champs, and then at Philly on that Sunday night game, and then they're home against Detroit and Chicago before their bye week, and then they've got Green Bay and Minnesota coming out of the gate. I have those two games as losses, and then beating the Giants, then losing at home to Matt Ryan and the Colts. So this would put Dallas at 6-5, and then I have them running the table the rest of the way. Houston at Jacksonville versus Philly at Tennessee at Washington.
Interesting. Now that December 11th game, the I-45 showdown, that I want to go see that game. I'm going to be saving up my money, because last year I went to the Monday night game against the Eagles in Week 3. So this year I want to go see the I-45 showdown, Cowboys and Texans, on December 11th. I'm circling that date right now because that's the game I want to go see. Yes, I see them blowing away the Texans there. I can see them blowing away the Jags. Cowboys can take care of those chickens at home. On the road at Tennessee,
Yeah.
I'm going to put that one as a loss.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting, yeah. But I think they can sweep the Commanders as well. So I basically see the Cowboys sweeping the Giants and the Commanders, splitting against the Eagles. So, and with down that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. I have Dallas winning 11 games.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So with that one question mark, the opener against the Buccaneers, I have Cowboys at least 10-6. That might be good enough to win the division right there. But we'll just see what happens here. Wait a minute, I just finished that one here, so let's go ahead. I got a bunch of papers right here in front of me. Let's talk about those Eagles here. Let's go ahead and get the Eagles page up here. Yeah, let's get the Eagles and take a look at the depth chart that they have here. Anything interesting on the Eagles?
It's I remember they acquired AJ Brown in a trade on draft night, one of the most dramatic trades of the entire draft, and it really changes their offense, and you've got pair them up with Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, who I think is going to take somewhat of a step forward this year. The offensive line is still great. Goddard's excellent. I think the defense, even though it's a couple of their veterans are aging. When you look at Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, they probably have the deepest front seven in the NFL, and the biggest front seven depth chart when you look at it. And T.J. Edwards, I think, is going to be excellent again at linebacker. And then for the Eagles, I love the addition of James Bradbury as their secondary. He, of course, was a Dave Gettleman salary cap casualty. He goes over to the Eagles, and they form one of the best cornerback duos in the entire NFL. And this is a team that screams division for the NFC East.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that the Eagles. I hear it may even come down to maybe either the next to last or the last game of the regular season that will determine either if the Eagles or the Cowboys will take the NFC East.
Yeah.
But looking at the
and looking at the schedule, I have believe it or not, Tim, I have the Eagles starting 8-1. They're at Detroit versus Minnesota, at Washington, which I think is going to be a toss up but a loss, and then Jacksonville, Arizona without Hopkins, Dallas by Pittsburgh in Philly, at Houston versus Washington. That screams 8-1. That's a very easy schedule coming out of the gate. But then of course when we get to Thanksgiving, that's when the schedule gets a lot tougher, because they have at Indy and versus Green Bay, and then road games against the Giants and the Cowboys.
Yeah, I actually take the October 30th game. I'm actually seeing Pittsburgh sliding by the Eagles in that one.
Yeah,
Other than that, I see victories all the way up until November 20th against the Colts.
Yeah, I actually have that Pittsburgh game as a win because the Steelers have never beaten the Eagles in Philadelphia. They've never beaten the Eagles in Philly in their 90-year history. Never.
Wow. That is a that's a mind-boggling statistic right there.
Yeah. I mean, since the merger, of course.
Right.
In 1970.
Yeah, I can see him beating Tennessee at home. I can beat the Giants on the road. Beating the Bears on the road. At Dallas, I see Dallas winning that one. Home against the Saints.
I labeled that as the loss because I have the Saints winning. That one.
And I've got the Eagles closing out the year with a victory at home against the Giants. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, looks like from what I've got right here, the Eagles could be the front runners for the NFC East here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 losses, and then I got that one question mark on the road against Indianapolis. So this looks pretty interesting for the Eagles here. But like I said, I mean, it could go. It's either going to be the Eagles or the Cowboys in the NFC East. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, and going through the last 8 games on mine, because I said Eagles would start 8-1. I have them losing to Indy, lost against the Aaron Rodgers and the Packers on Sunday night, win at home against Tennessee in AJ Brown's first game against his old team, a loss against the Giants on the road, a win at the Bears on the road, a loss against Dallas on the road on Christmas Eve, loss at home to New Orleans, and then win at home against the Giants to get them to 11 wins.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, so at Dallas on Christmas Eve, that's gonna be absolutely wonderful.
That's going to be a huge game. Huge game.
That'll probably determine the division right there.
Basically,
All right, now we're going to talk about the Washington Commanders. Let's go ahead and get their page up. And of course, there is a changing of the guard in Washington at the quarterback position, if I'm not mistaken.
again, and this time they're going to try Carson Wentz. And we learned last year that Carson Wentz, after the injury, is only basically a game manager at best, and it's not really going to bode well against the tougher competition. Now, they made news recently by extending Terry McLaurin, which Terry McLaurin is the unquestioned leader of this offense, and then we'll see what happens about Logan Thomas going forward. The defense needs to improve, and the Commanders spent so many draft picks, first round picks on that defensive line, and you look at Young, Allen, Sweat, Payne, Jamin Davis. They've really got to step it up. But William Jackson III had a really good second half, and he got this Washington defense turned around. They actually were one of the better defensive teams in the NFL in the second half of the season, which was lost in the shuffle because they were bad offensively. But it's something to look out for Jack Del Rio's defense.
Yeah, that defense, which 2 years ago was probably the best in the whole NFC East, but of course that was the year when the NFC East was pretty much the NFC least because it was the worst division in the league at that time. And basically, the Commanders, well, then they were called the football team. I guess they won it by default, I guess.
Yeah.
But looking at the schedule right here, I actually see the first two games at home against Jacksonville and on the road against Detroit. I see those games both as wins. Then I see them losing at home to the Eagles and then losing on the road to the Cowboys.
Let me pull up my schedule. So what do you have for the Jacksonville, Detroit, and Philly?
Jacksonville and Detroit, I have those games as wins for the Commanders, and then I have them losing at home to the Eagles and on the road to Dallas.
Yeah, so both of us have Washington starting 2-2, but I have the Washington beating Philly, but not Jacksonville.
Then as we proceed, they're at home against the Tennessee Titans.
I actually have that as a win, believe it or not.
Oh, win here, okay. And I can definitely no, I'm actually going to. This may sound crazy, but I think the Chicago Bears could beat the Commanders at Soldier Field.
Yeah. No. But I have Washington winning that game. So which would give them which would be a needed win at the time because a matchup with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers would be looming, in which I would take the Packers to take care of business.
Right. Then the Commanders go on the road to Indianapolis.
Said I'll take the Commanders to win the Carson Wentz revenge game.
Oh yes, of course. Carson Wentz was in Indianapolis,
and Wentz is going to be booed like heck that game, but because of how the season ended last season.
Then Commanders are at home against Minnesota on November 6th.
Yeah, I have Washington going 0-4 November.
Oh, for November, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Lost to there, lost to Philly, losing to Houston, losing to Atlanta.
Yep.
And then December 4th, before the bye week, Commanders on the road against the Giants, which I could probably see them getting back in the win column there.
So yeah, I have the Giants losing both matches to Washington.
Then they on the road Christmas Eve against the Niners. I don't quite think the Commanders can take care of the Niners, so I have to mark that as a loss.
I actually have that as a win, actually.
Ooh.
So because there's always these random upsets, and I think Washington needing a win at this point, needing a win to stay alive in the wild card race, so that they get one. But week 17 and 18, I have them losing at home to both Cleveland and to Dallas, leaving them with 8 wins.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 5 wins, 11 losses, and that questionable game. I think my questionable game is December 4th on the road against the G-Men.
Yeah, and I have them with 8 wins and 9 losses.
And speaking of the G-Men, that is the team we're going to be talking about now.
Yep.
I'll just go ahead and get this over here. We talked about my boys. Now let's talk about your boys.
Isn't it refreshing to see a team with a competent general manager and a competent head coach? So because that's exactly what we're seeing with the Giants. So in terms of the offseason plan, now it's going to take a while for the Giants to get rid of the Dave Gettleman bad contracts because next year the Giants have $45 million tied up in cap space to Leonard Williams and Adoree Jackson. So, but the question here is Daniel Jones, and so far Daniel Jones has not had a good training camp. He's been inconsistent. He's been off target, and really that his most trusted target, Darius Slayton, has fallen off after a strong rookie season. Now, I think Saquon Barkley is going to be a rock star once again because he had a normal offseason. But I think he's going to be the star of this offense. But the Giants not picking up the 50th option for Daniel Jones speaks volumes. That the Giants are going to be picking a new quarterback, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tyrod Taylor starts games for the Giants this year because unlike Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor protects the football. And Daniel Bellinger is going to be the starting tight end for the Giants this year. Now, it was a huge hole left on the roster after Evan Ingram left. To join the Jaguars, but the Giants spent, I believe it was a 4th round pick on Bellinger, but hey, Mark Andrews of the Ravens was a 4th round pick, so that's something to keep in mind there. Now the offensive line, the two names are Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, and then Evan Neal, the right tackle. Evan Neal was the 7th pick in the draft. Mark Lewinsky comes over from the Colts. John Feliciano comes over with the from the Bills alongside Brian Daboll. So, but it's going to take a while for the Giants to fix up that offensive line. But defensively, I think this is going to be going to be interesting because Blake Martinez comes back after tearing his ACL in Week 3 last year. And Adoree Jackson becomes the new cornerback 1, but I'm really excited for 3 things most on this defense. One is Kayvon Thibodeau, and Thibodeau has been dominating training camp the entire way. He's been unblockable, as some scouts would say, and I think Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be our megastar with the Giants. And props to Joe Shane for taking Kayvon Thibodeau when he did, because remember the first 4 picks of the draft before the Giants had him were all defensive players with Trayvon Walker going to going to Jacksonville, Aiden Hutchinson to Detroit, Derek Stingley going to Houston, and Sauce Gardner to the Jets. So basically, the last blue chip defensive prospect the Giants took at number 5 and basically made Carolina take a tackle at 6. Number 2 is Azeez Ojulari. Ojulari had a really good rookie season for the Giants last year. He was one of the lone bright spots on this team last year. So having Ojulari, Ojulari is gonna be more of a pass rusher. So him and Thibodeau holding the fort on the edges is going to be a scary sight for opposing teams. And then number 3 is Xavier McKinney, and I think McKinney fits in beautifully with Wink Martindale's defense. Because remember, Wink Martindale comes over from the Ravens, from their defensive coordinator to now the Giants defensive coordinator, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching McKinney ball out with Martindale, because remember, Martindale has coached a lot of great safeties. I think most especially the great Ed Reed. So he coached him. He coached a lot of other great safeties. So that's where I'm really excited about for the Giants. Now it's obviously the salary cap, as I mentioned at the start, is going to be an issue because the Giants weren't really able to do much with what they have, but I thought Joe Schoen and his staff did a commendable job with the resources that they have, and looking at next year, the Giants are going to have close to $50 million in cap space, which is one of the highest in the NFL, and then in 2024. They're gonna have all the money opened up in the books, so that's where the Giants are going to have their free ring here, because especially if they draft a rookie quarterback in next year's draft, because that means that they can fix a lot of holes rather quickly, because they wouldn't have to worry about a quarterback making $30 million a year instead of having the starting quarterback on a rookie contract. So I want to take a look at the schedule and now, because that's where I'm ready to do that. So the Giants open up on the road again. So the Giants open up on the road against the Titans on a 4:25 start on in week 1. So I don't have the Giants winning against Tennessee, because I think Derrick Henry is too tall of a task for the Giants in week 1. So, but I do think Brian Dable is going to pick. I do see a good chunk of wins for Brian Dable leading up to Thanksgiving. So I have them beating Carolina in week 2. Week 3 is the Monday night game against Dallas. We both have that as a victory for Dallas. I have them beating Chicago in week 4. Week 5 is the London game. The Giants are playing the Green Bay Packers. I have that as a loss, and then Week 6 against Baltimore, I have that as a loss because I think Lamar Jackson is that great and that special. And then how about this sequence for you, Tim? It's at Jacksonville, at Seattle, bye week, home against Houston, home against Detroit. I see that as a 4-game winning streak, which would put the Giants at 6-4 going into Big D on Thanksgiving. Which if my correct predictions were correct, it would be a huge game in terms of playoff implications. So, but I have the Cowboys are locking up the season sweep of the Giants. We said losing twice to Washington, week 13 and 15. Week 14, they're home against Philly. I think the Giants are going to win that game. But then the last 3 weeks of the season are going to be tough because they're at Minnesota, home against the Colts, and then at Philadelphia. I have them losing 6 of the last 7 games, and the Giants will win 7 games. A 3-win improvement from last year, but still not enough to get out of the cellar in the NFC East.
Let's see what I got. I got the Giants winning at Carolina, then winning at Jacksonville, at Seattle, at home against Houston, at home against Detroit, and then at home against Philadelphia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 wins, and I think I count up 11 losses right there. So 6-11, which by my notes here would make probably slightly make Washington the cellar dwellers in the NFC East. So,
Yeah.
I can see the Giants making a huge improvement from the last couple of seasons. I mean, I was very impressed with their draft picks, and I'm like, I think may want to keep an eye on the Giants. I mean, Giants are probably not quite uh, division championship ready yet, but I can see them making like a slow progression toward that. So
Yeah, and I could say that this is the most hopeful Giants fans have been in a long time because I can say this with the passion as a Giants fan. Because you have to realize it was torture for us the last 10 years since the last Super Bowl that they said that they go through Jerry Reese's bad drafts, that they go through protecting Eli Manning's feelings, that they choose Jerry Reese over Tom Coughlin. That they fired Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo, hire Pat Shurmur, hire Dave Gettleman, fire Pat Shurmur after 2 years. By the way, the Giants are still paying Pat Shurmur this year. Do you realize that?
really?
Yes, they're still paying Pat Shurmur this year because this is the last year of his 5-year guaranteed contract.
Right.
And then the Joe Judge experiment went okay for 1 year. Because I thought that 6 wins was as good as they were going to get with what the roster was at that time. But then he just rolled over and played dead last season with all the blowout losses toward the end. 6 straight blowout losses to end the year. Yeah, and there was a time, like right before the season was to end, that they were going to keep Joe Judge, and I mean the final straw to me was remember that play on 39 they did a quarterback sneak. And I thought that was the most embarrassing play of the Giants ever, and this is including the Miracle at the Meadowlands, the first one where they couldn't secure the victory. So yeah, but it's a fresh new start, fresh new era. Joe Shane, I remember, was my number one choice to be the general manager. And Brian Dable was my number one choice to be the general manager, be the head coach. Mike Kafka comes in. I think he's going to be an excellent offensive coordinator for the Giants. Dable comes in from the Bills. Kafka comes in from Kansas City, and Martindale comes in from Baltimore. All winning organizations that they can dwell upon and bring a winning culture back to the Giants because when the Giants are relevant, that means so much to the NFL because you know you're not going to get that for the Jets. You're not going to see the Jets do anything until they change ownership. So, but and as good as Joe Douglas was, football needs the Giants to win as much as the Giants need to win for their fans.
Right. So before we move on to the NFC West, let me ask you this question: if the Cowboys don't make the NFC Championship game, is McCarthy gone?
If they don't win a playoff game, McCarthy's gone. Because they have to win the playoff game in order for yeah.
So,
Also, it's another thing too that you're looking at the NFC East and you're looking at the possibility of 2 teams potentially changing coaches at the end of the year because I think Ron Rivera is going to get fired if the Commanders don't make the playoffs, and I think Mike McCarthy is a dead duck anyway because I think Jerry Jones wants to hire Sean Payton as the next head coach. So, there is that real possibility of that happening. So.
All right. Well, we go from the NFC East over to the NFC West, and we, of course, will begin with the defending champions, the Los Angeles Rams.
The
champs.
Something I hope to say next year when I win the fantasy football championship.
All right, let's take a look at the depth chart for the Rams, and I don't think really much change. I mean, they still have pretty much the core.
I mean, they brought in Allen Robinson to be their number 2 wide receiver. They have the salary cap to do that. They have Cam Akers healthy. They have Darrell Henderson healthy. Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. He does have a shoulder issue. So Sean McVay said in his press conference, and talked to the press late last week, and he said it's a motion that he's rarely seen from him. So it can be an issue, but not right now. But look at the weapons that that the Rams had with Higbee and Robinson and Van Jefferson and Cooper Kupp and so much. And also, I love the Kyren Williams pick. He out of Notre Dame. He was a beast for Notre Dame, and the Rams got him in the 5th round. But then how about the defense under Raheem Morris? It is just a thing of beauty. Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game. Leonard Floyd, excellent linebacker. Bringing in Bobby Wagner. Bringing in still have Jalen Ramsey. As a star, the Rams have so much talent on that defense. It's just not fair. It's just not fair to the opposition. And when you look at the schedule and what they have, it really you're gonna see the Rams rack up a lot of wins here. Now, how many exactly do we think the Rams win? Well, let's start with the Thursday night game to start the season where they open up against Buffalo. I think Buffalo's going to win that game because I think the Bills are the team to beat in the NFL this year. But you can rack up a lot of wins quickly, as like Atlanta, Arizona, Dallas, Carolina. They'll probably split against Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. They can beat Tampa on the road. They've done that before. That they can beat the Saints on the road. They've done that before under McVay. And then it's going to be a tough matchup against Kansas City on Thanksgiving week. It's going to be the 4:25 p.m. Eastern game on Fox. So you know that Kevin Burkhardt is going to call that game. So, but I think the Rams can win 11 games. Now the schedule is going to be really tough. So, but I think 11 wins looks like a real possibility here.
I see them going 5-1 before the bye week. I see the only loss in that streak will be at San Francisco against the Niners.
Yeah, I have them at 4-2. In case you're wondering.
Yeah, I'm actually picking the Rams to beat the Bills at home. I got them beating the Saints at home. Then I see them beating Arizona on the road. I see them losing to the Niners on the road. They'll win at Dallas. They'll win at Carolina. Then they have their bye week. I see them winning at San Francisco, losing at Tampa Bay. I could probably see them winning at home against Arizona, losing on the road at New Orleans. The Kansas City game, I'm just going to give a slight edge to the Rams on that one.
I have them losing at home to Arizona, winning at New Orleans, losing on the road in Kansas City.
Then we would go to December. I see them winning at home against Seattle.
Yeah, and then a short week at home against the Raiders. I have that as a win, and then it would set up the Monday night showdown with the Packers at Lambeau Field. I do have the Rams winning on the road in that one. in the frozen tundra, and then I have them losing to Denver and the Chargers at SoFi the next 2 weeks, and then they win on the road against Seattle to get them to 11 wins.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think I got 11-6 record. My projection for the Rams, that should be good enough to probably once again take the division right there. And let's go to Arizona right now.
Yeah.
Talk about those Cardinals here. And let's see their depth chart if I can get it up on screen right there. So Kyler Murray decided. Well, we discussed the contract for Kyler Murray, which was, in my opinion, is still kind of insane.
Yeah, and then DeAndre Hopkins suspended the first 6 games. That's one of the big stories in the NFL in the first
Right.
couple of weeks, and then then the offensive line is going to be a work in progress once again, and I think there are a lot of injuries that are going to expose the lack of depth on this team. So that's the offense. Then defensively. Obviously, you look at J.J. Watt on the screen here, but losing Chandler Jones is a big deal. Chandler Jones has carved out a Hall of Fame career with the Cardinals, so a lot of their hopes are going to depend on the developments of Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons as their first round picks two of the last 3 years, to really instill some confidence in the front seven. So if you look at the schedule, remember the Cardinals will miss 6 games of DeAndre Hopkins because of the suspension, and I only have the Cardinals winning one of those 6 games. That's the game in Week 5 where they take on the Philadelphia Eagles.
So you only see the Cardinals winning at home against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll see them losing at home against Kansas City. On the road, they'll probably lose at Vegas. At home, the Rams will pretty much shred them up to pieces, I guess. So that's a loss. On the road to Carolina.
Yeah, without Hopkins, it's gonna be
Right.
tough going up against that defense.
And on the road in Seattle, I see that as a loss. But they get them back October 20th in time for a home game against the Saints.
I have the Cardinals winning Hopkins' return.
Then on the road to Minnesota.
I have that as a win.
I kind of have that one as a loss. And I see them at home. Cardinals home against Seattle. I see that as a win.
Yeah, I actually have Seattle sweeping Arizona.
Now I have a split with home teams winning those 2 games. At the Rams.
So I have that as a split because I have the Cardinals winning that game.
I actually see the Rams sweeping the Cardinals there. Maybe a split against the Niners.
Yeah.
I can see the home teams winning in the series with the Cardinals and Niners.
Yeah.
At home against the Chargers, November 27th. I'm not sure about that one. That's right before their bye week. I'll just have to put a question mark on that one. At home against the Patriots, I can see them being the Patriots at home.
I have that as a loss, believe it or not.
Ooh. This is going to be an interesting one. December 18th at Denver, Russell Wilson against the Cardinals.
Loss.
Yeah, I probably lean toward that too. At home, Cardinals are at home against Tampa Bay on Christmas.
Loss.
Yeah, it's lost, but I do see them losing. I can see no, I see the Cardinals winning on the road against Atlanta.
Yeah, I see that too. Then you have a split of San Francisco. I have them Arizona sweeping San
Ah,
Francisco.
3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6 wins, 10 losses, and 1 question mark game. That, of course, is the November 27th game with the Cardinals at home against the Chargers. So Arizona, they may they'll probably either finish second or third. But let's talk about the Niners, who I think may have a pretty good season this year. So yeah, let's take a look at the Niners. Uh, yeah, take a look at them. And we'll take a look at their depth chart. So, Trey Lance is now been named the starter for the Niners. So, the question is, how soon is it before Jimmy G is gone?
And see, I honestly I don't know if the Niners are able to trade Jimmy G at all because I mean I will have to see what happens because the NFL is coming down with a with an appeal of the Deshaun Watson suspension. So I think if the NFL can get an extension on Watson's suspension, which I hope they do because of what he's done, then you look at the Niners as as a trade partner for Cleveland to get a quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. So. But I digress. But this is an excellent roster, and I think Elijah Mitchell is going to run for over 1,000 yards this season. Deebo Samuel is back under a new extension, and George Kittle is healthy. Kyle Juszczyk healthy. Trent Williams is coming off perhaps the greatest season ever for left tackle. And he meant everything to the 49ers last season, and so I think that's going to be a name for discussion. And of course the defense. How could you not love Nick Bosa and Fred Warner? Fred Warner is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, and then they're gonna have to see if they can get some production from their secondary. So on to the schedule where when I did the wins and losses earlier this season, earlier in the off season, I have San Francisco starting 7-0.
Wow, let's see here. First 7 games, 7-0 at Chicago. I'll agree with that. Home against Seattle, I agree. On the road to Denver. That one kind of gives me cause to pause. Because, of course, Denver now has Russell Wilson. Of course, the Niners are familiar with him. Then, at home against the Rams, I see that as a loss. At Carolina, they can win there. At Atlanta, they can win there. 49ers at home against Kansas City. I'm going to have to write that down as a loss. Then they lose at the Rams before they hit the bye week.
That's their first loss on my book.
At the Rams?
Yeah. So at the bye week, what do you have for San Francisco?
So before the bye week, I've got 4-3 that I got wins at Chicago, home with Seattle, on the road to Carolina, on the road to Atlanta. The one road game, week 3 against the Broncos. I'm still kind of on the fence about that one. But after bye week, What, are you kidding me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home games in a row?
No, they have it's well technically the 49ers will be the road team for the Monday night game in Mexico City on November 21st. But yes, four out
Ah,
of four out of five at home. They don't play a true road game for 6 weeks after their bye.
right. So, I can see the Niners probably beating the Chargers.
Yeah, I have that as a loss.
What did we say about the Cardinals series
It's
against
yeah,
the Niners? I
it's yeah.
said
It's,
lose at home. The road teams would win. So first one is they'll lose that one. Then they'll win at Arizona.
yeah.
What? Okay. Versus New Orleans on November 27th.
I have that as a win, snapping a 3 game losing streak.
Then they're at home against Miami.
I have the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are gonna surprise some people this year.
Oh, they could. They could. Niners against Tom Brady. No, I see that as a loss.
I have that as a win.
Oh, interesting. Um, I actually see the 49ers shocking the Seattle Seahawks on the road. But I also see them winning at home against the Commanders and winning against the Vegas Raiders on the road before
Yeah,
getting a win against Arizona and San Francisco on January 8th. So,
yeah,
with that being said, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 wins, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses, and still the question mark game is week 3 on the road against
yeah.
Denver.
Yes, I have San Francisco winning 10 games. So I'm gonna because I'll say a couple of things about Seattle before we get into their schedule. So you can actually go right towards Seattle's schedule. The Seahawks are gonna have the worst starting quarterback in the NFL, regardless of whether it's Geno Smith or Drew Lock, and I still think they need to for Tyler Lockett. The defense it has a lot of holes in it. I do want to see some development from Jordan Brooks, their linebacker, and then Jamal Adams. He looks neutralized. Because the Seahawks wasted a couple of first round picks, for him, and I think this is one of the trades that John Schneider would like to have back. So let's go to their schedule now. I have 5 wins on their schedule. Week 3 at home against Atlanta. Week 6 and 9 against the Cardinals. Week 14 against Carolina. And Week 15 against San Francisco. So those are my 5 wins.
Okay, let's see here. Looking down my lineup, Seattle, they will lose at home against the Broncos. Lose at San Francisco. They will win at home against Atlanta. Uh, Man, I think they'll lose at Detroit. They'll lose. Wait a minute. I'm marking these wrong here. Lose at Detroit. Lose at New Orleans, and they'll lose at home against the Cardinals. Chargers are going to be too much for them. Yeah, lose against Giants. Lose against lose against Tampa Bay. I guess. Wow. I only see them winning at home against Atlanta, on September 25th, and they can beat the Jets on New Year's Day at home. Have no chance against the Rams. No chance against the Niners. Home against Carolina, they could probably win that one, but they'll lose. Probably lose on the road to Kansas City. November 22nd, home against the Raiders. I don't see them winning, so I got 1, 2, 3. I only got 3 wins for the Seahawks this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, this sounds pretty bad. I got Seattle going 3-14.
So yeah, I have Seattle going 5-12.
5-12. Who are the other Who you got them winning against?
So twice against Arizona, against Atlanta, against Carolina, against San Francisco. Once.
Interesting. So, but once again, Seattle, in my opinion, will be kind of a disappointment here. So, so that's pretty much a pretty packed show that we have to talk about these divisions: the NFC South, the NFC East, and the NFC West. So, is there anything else you want to say before we close up shop for this week?
Yes, so Wednesday we're going to be taking a look at, we're going to start our look at the AFC. So we're going to be doing the AFC North and the AFC South, and I can't wait to get into the AFC North because it's going to be a fun division. You've got 4 excellent rosters to deal with there, and then we'll look at the AFC South as well. So it's going to be off the charts on Wednesday night when we convene again.
It's going to be interesting. That AFC North is looking like probably the most interesting division of the league right now.
But it's interesting, but I don't think it's the most interesting.
No, probably not. But,
It's part of the AFC West, and you know, if you've been listening to my podcast, you know how much I'm looking forward to the AFC West, and I love that you're saving the best for last. So I think this is going to be a tremendous NFL season, and.
Yeah, and that season, as you said, it is was 1 month away, and we're getting closer and closer. So, of course, right about now, you have 2 podcasts per week.
So we're not there yet. We're still 4 weeks away from going back to twice a week, but. But once the NFL season starts, it's game time from there. It's that we're gonna be.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be game time. So y'all be sure to click on one of those links down in the description area. Y'all be sure to listen to John Flynn with Hooked on Sports when season starts. 2 podcasts a week, one for the NFL and the other for all the other sports. So
it's going to be something. And I say this too with the NFL because you have so much material that you have to cover. So that the NFL gets podcasts gets episodes all by itself because it's so many storylines, a lot of attention. The ratings, of course, are ridiculous, even for regular season games. So it's going to be something this season.
It's going to be something. So, we're going to be back with you. We're going to be back with you 2 nights from now. This coming Wednesday, we'll start our look at the AFC divisions. We'll go north and south there. Then we got AFC East and West. Then I think we got 32 questions for 32 teams. And then, of course, our big draft night. And then we get the season started with week 1 predictions with our fantasy leagues, and of course, week 1 in the season. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited just thinking about it right now. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just that when the season starts, I start talking in a different language, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, but with that, we are going to go ahead and put a wrap on this edition of Fantasy Football Fever. Y'all be sure listen to John Flynn, Hooked on Sports. Hope to see you on Wednesday, John.
Yeah, I believe I'm gonna be there Wednesday night. So
All righty then. Well, I'll see you there, and we hope to see all of you on Wednesday as well. For John Flynn and everyone at Fantasy Football Fever, my name is Tim McClellan. Thanks for joining us. God bless you all, and as always, be a good sport. See ya.
15 seconds to air. Stand by, all cameras.
Ready with slow motion and isolated cameras.
Stand by, videotape, and rotate.
And tape is rolling in less than 5, in 3, 2, 1.
Take tape.